didn't see you there.
Something big is going on here.
From hunting ghosts to Bigfoot.
Paranormal, UFOs, true crime, and more.
We won't just be spouting articles.
I was researching for your entertainment.
Beginning of a new world.
The best guac you'll ever fucking eat.
True story.
It's basically like one day you walk outside and you see that the ants are playing with matches.
This is the Black Cat Report. See you on the other side.
The Great Smoky Mountains National Park is full of beauty and amazing animals. Many people visit every year excited to go on a long hike to see the views from Klingman's Dome, see the waterfalls in Abrams Fall Trail, or the many other famous hiking trails and views. Not many expect to see planes falling from the sky, lose loved ones, or even get lost themselves. The mountains hide many things, and sometimes you don't want to know what happens in the deep woods hollers. But today, we're going to look into the mysteries and disappearances of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. I'm your host, Joey Lee. And hosting with me today is Betsabe.
Hello.
Selena.
Hi.
And Gil.
Hola.
Okay, who's Ken Burns?
He's a famous documentarian. That's kind of funny. He's a famous documentarian that's like notorious for having like really slow, boring talking about
Monotonous.
subjects and monotonous and everything. That's why I was doing the voice in the beginning because
Well,
he did like
he's not famous if I haven't heard of him.
his documentaries
He
are
is
really good though.
famous.
Yeah, his documentaries are amazing though. He does super crazy good research. He's just very monotone, and everything that happens sounds like this, and then the Civil War, and I also did a jazz one, and I also did these random ones that nobody expected me to do. But they're really good. They're really great actually.
The truth behind the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Like, what? It's like, but were they staying alive? This week, we're looking into the lessons behind.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right, so let's get going. So the first case that we're going to go into is a disappearance. So let's start off with one of the most famous and most interesting cases that happened in the Smokies. This one starts off with just a normal summer hiking day. On June 14th, close to now, 1969, Dennis Martin, his brother, his father, and grandfather went on a hike in Katie's Cove to spend Father's Day together outdoors, which it's almost Father's Day. So to all fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Woo! Happy Father's Day, fathers.
Yep. After a good bit of hiking, the Martin family took a rest and another family walked up. The other family, which coincidentally was also with the last name of Martin, so they're just a bunch of Martins getting together.
Confusing.
Yeah. They were just like, well, it's a melding of realities, if you will. With this coincidence, both Martin families thought, "Hey, let's just hike together. This sounds good. We
You're a
both have
Martin,
kids.
I'm a
Yeah.
Martin. Let's fucking hit this mountain."
Let's be Martins together." So they had a couple kids. Both families had kids. So they're like, "Hey, these guys can play together while we walk, and do this." So there are two different small versions, small little differences in this story. It don't really matter. One of them says basically that the kids were playing hide and go seek, and the other version said that they were trying to play a prank on the adults. So
I mean,
they're not
¿por qué no
really.
los dos?
Yeah, 6 and 1/2, half dozen of the other. So they wanted to walk all the way around in a giant circle and come up behind the adults and scare them. So Dennis, who was the youngest and the kid in this story, decided to go in a different direction, and he would meet up with the older boys near the clump of bushes. So Bill, who is Dennis's father, saw his son walk into the clump of bushes. And so, he saw him. He's like, not far. He's like, it's okay. Whatever is going on is fine. I saw him walk there. He's good. So after they finished the game, whether it was hide and go seek or scaring the adults, maybe a mixture of both, Bill Martin noticed that Dennis was missing and he was no longer with the other group of boys.
Oh, shit.
Which is probably so scary, honestly, as a father as a parent to be like, my kid's gone. And like just to see him like maybe 5 minutes before. So Bill walked to the bushes where he saw his son go in. He walked through it. walked around it. No sign. He could not see any sign of Dennis. So
Wow.
Bill, obviously, the father, was like, well, let me talk to the other kids, the other adults, see maybe if the kids are like playing a prank on him, or maybe they're playing another game. Maybe they saw him somewhere. Nobody had seen him since they started the game. So at this
What year
moment,
is this?
this is 1969.
Okay.
Yep. And at this moment, panic set in for him because he realized his son was missing, not just like off somewhere. He realized he was gone. So Bill told his dad, because the grandfather was on the hike too. He said, go down to the ranger station, notify them, tell them Dennis is missing. We have to like get a handle on this. And then he took off in a run down the Appalachian Trail that was crossing through their camping area. And so he's running around trying to find him. And within 2 hours, there was already a huge search and rescue effort happening. There are hundreds of park rangers, forestry service employees, and civilian volunteers. So they rounded all these people up to look for him.
Wow,
So
that
it's
was fast.
very fast.
Damn.
So they got the word out fast. The search party was combing the hills and woods of Katie's Cove and the trail surrounding them to find Dennis. As night fell, they still had no evidence of him being anywhere. What's really sad is the weather turned bad for the next few days. It started pouring down, raining, and winds kicking up. And
Oh
it
my
lasts.
god, this
That's-
is like so terrible.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
like David Paulides, who's kind of I guess most famous for like missing 411. That is one of the major things that he points out as always occurring in terms of like a set of patterns.
Yep.
Don't ask me to quote the exact set of patterns, but there is a pattern that takes place across all of these national park like disappearances, and one of them is that there's either a major rainstorm immediately before or immediately afterwards. Like water is always involved in this somehow. Normally it takes place near a river.
Yep.
But yeah, literally a massive fucking rainstorm, which like and he's very how do you put this? I feel like he's very objective about his approach to it.
Mhm.
And it does kind of point out the fact that like, well, no, like when somebody goes missing, those first 48 hours, as the show says, are so critical or so crucial to finding somebody. And like rain inherently pushes people into, just straight up pushes them into hiding spots.
Yep.
Like you're not going to be spotted from an aircraft if it's been pouring rain because you're hiding in a cave, you're hiding under a log, you're hiding under a branch, so that immediately cuts down the likelihood of you being spotted, like immediately. And like it just limit again, the first 48 are so important because that goes from like they're in a 1 mile radius to a 20-mile radius or a 60-mile radius, and like every little craggy like spot, every little cliff, every little edge, every little overhang, it just increases the amount of it. But still, this is fucking nuts though.
Yeah, this is one of the most famous missing persons cases too, because it was never, there's a lot of stuff that happened in this. So one of the interesting points I want to add to this case is the FBI was called in.
That's
Why?
sus.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. So
Ooh.
also, the FBI will not get involved in something unless they think there's evidence of foul play, like murder, child abduction, or something like that, or something going on.
Crime.
Has to be a federal crime. So the FBI will never look into these things. They had the FBI agent was from the local Knoxville, Tennessee office, which is like not far from the Smokies. Within, I think it was 2 years, he committed suicide under mysterious circumstances. Nobody knew what happened. Nobody knew why.
That is so suspicious.
Everything that he had on the case was gone.
What?
Okay, that's the sus part.
Yeah.
I know.
There's more sus parts coming up too, which is this is just the beginning.
Yeah,
so
Give me that
so
sus,
weird
Joey.
because,
Make me a sus sandwich.
This is so weird because so many people disappear all the time. Like almost every day someone disappears. So yeah, for the FBI to be like, we're gonna take time on this random kid disappearance.
Yeah. That's very fucking weird. They don't lift a finger if it's not like some federal shit or like
Yeah.
involved in some like federal law, missing people, not involved in federal shit.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
at least like in terms of like, there isn't even like a solid motivation that's been built up yet, or like cases built up, and it's just like the point in the investigation where it would reach that level of we're suspecting you of a federal crime hasn't been reached yet. This is just straight up, it's a national park. People get injured, people go missing. This is, normal because so sorry, but there's not guardrails everywhere in national parks. Like you are out, you out here, like you are on your own. If you want to do some dumb shit, sorry, homie, but like, so like, yeah, the feds getting involved, unless like the Martins were somehow connected to like a coke ring or something like that. Like there's
Didn't
no
seem
reason
like
why
it.
the feds should be involved.
Didn't
I was
seem
thinking
like
about that
Yeah.
maybe
I was
like
thinking
they have
Steve
something
Martin.
behind them like already, like they've been watching them already,
Yeah.
Yeah, which if you haven't looked up a photo of Steve Martin in 1969,
Okay,
oh my
he's
god.
like the cutest.
I'm just saying, check him out in 69. You know, that's the end of the statement, but you need some swag.
I'm going to derail this for a second and say that my favorite Steve Martin movie is Bowfinger. And I know that's not a very popular movie, but it's him and Eddie Murphy. It's hilarious. Check it out if you haven't.
Mine is Father of the Bride.
My favorite Steve Martin movie is what is it called? The Jerk.
Oh yeah, classic.
Fuck yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
Yep.
Steve Martin movie night. Let us know in the comments for this episode if you want one.
Sure. Yeah, we'll videotape it. So, anyways, getting back on track here. Another weird mystery besides the FBI, which this also as well has to do with the FBI, is that there was another family that was traveling in near the Katie's Cove area.
Pink Panther. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Going back to another weird mystery besides the original FBI, still has to do with the FBI a little bit. There was another family that was visiting the Katie's Cove area as well in the same time. Just a little different area of it. They heard a blood-curdling scream and saw in quotations, a hairy, rugged man running uphill away from them through the trees and under the brush.
Okay.
God, it's Henry Zabrowski.
So it's crazy. They said it wasn't. It was on two legs. They said it didn't look like a bear to them, obviously, because it wasn't hairy enough. But it didn't look like a real person. They said it was like a mixture of the two.
Okay, so Bigfoot.
Pretty much Bigfoot in the same way.
Yeah, that is Bigfoot.
Yeah.
All right. Case solved.
Case solved. Yeah. But Bigfoot has never had a history of kidnapping little children
that we know of.
I would disagree, my friend. Depending on the culture that's like had like Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch. I'm fucking running out of the names at this point, but like depending on the parts of the world, Bigfoots are known for having different temperaments and different legends associated to them. There's I'm forgetting, but there's the town up in Alaska who's just straight up relocated because of violent Bigfoot. Like, and that's like a huge thing. God damn it. Victor, hit me up on Instagram. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep. Well, I mean, I guess you have good foot and bad foot, so you got the two sides of it.
Oh.
Neutral foot too, so. Yeah. So the FBI asked the family. It was like this was the next day, so they didn't know until about the next day when the reports came out about the boy going missing. So once they heard that, the other family, they were like, well, this is something that I think the FBI should know if they're looking for this kid. And we might have some information on some random, maybe hairy guy running through there. So they called the FBI. The FBI said, which is a little suspect to me, they didn't want to meet the family at the actual place where they saw where they saw them, so they could get a view of like, okay, this is maybe where they were where it was running, this is maybe where it was. They met halfway in between the FBI and where they were, which was
Interesting.
so weird.
Were they stuck in
Yeah.
like a Kia and couldn't make it up the mountain, or like
I don't know.
was there? Because like some of these roads, y'all know, like some of these roads out here, like if you have a tiny car, like God or Satan, whoever be with you, like you ain't making it up that bitch, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like maybe they were stuck, you know, it had like a low profile or something. But if they pulled up in like a fucking Forerunner or some shit, it's like, all right, there's something sus here.
Yeah.
Like,
Very sus.
Very
I
So
need information on their suspension. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
I'm going to add to this mystery too, because it wasn't
Okay.
just park rangers. It wasn't just FBI. It wasn't just volunteer people looking for these. The Green Berets were sent in.
What the literal fuck?
Yes.
Who's that?
It's an army. It's a special operations unit of, I think it's the army.
What the
Yeah, it's like the Army's version of like the Navy SEALs, but they were around fairly certain before the Navy SEALs. Anyways, they're an elite special forces unit that's like if you're a Green Beret, like you'll kill a motherfucker with the end of a spoon. Like it's that kind of shit. Like
They're
they're the
crazy.
fucking badasses of badasses in the military.
Yep.
how
Pretty
have
sure
I
Chuck
never
Norris
heard
was
of
a Green
them?
Beret. He wasn't really.
No. He
Well,
started
because
the
they're
Green
not
Berets.
famous.
There
Yeah,
was
they're not
a thing
fami-
about being Green Berets. They were never
course.
Green Berets, though.
This is so wild. And
Yeah, yeah.
again, like
Yeah.
people disappear all the time. Someone's disappearing right now as we speak. And like
shit.
they don't just like
That's
do
true.
this. This
No.
so sus.
They don't, and especially in the 60s. I don't feel like this would have made as much of a deal. And the Martin, it didn't seem like the family was like anything big to do about it. So the Green Berets, they searched for a while, but there was 3 particular days that stick out. The 22nd through the 25th. So this is like he
Your
was
birthday.
Yeah, pretty much. He was kidnapped. He got lost on the 14th. So we're looking at about 7-8 days after being lost. Everything that the park rangers do and the volunteers were doing is documented, right? So they're like, we searched this area, we searched this area, we had a set of volunteers search this area. It's kind of how it works with the parks government. They kind of have to document this stuff to make sure that they're not either searching areas again or maybe something else happened that they're finding out there.
They just real quick here, they document everything but the total number of people that go missing.
Pretty
Just
much.
a real fun fact for you. David Paulides, again, throwing it out here. Please come on the show. And they've like it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars when he first started looking into the missing persons cases. He was like reached out to them and he was like, I want, the access to the files that show how many people go missing every year in national parks. Again, national parks, that's like on the federal level. Like every fucking thing is documented. All right. Like every goddamn bump in the road and rock and stone gets documented.
Yep.
And they were like, oh, sorry, we don't actually have any compiled like accounts of anything like that. And you're like, you literally document how many times you go to the outhouse.
Yep.
You're seriously telling me you don't have how many times you've led a rescue party for multiple days into the woods and have had like life flight fucking flying in and looking for folks. You've had like light aircraft and like planes and shit like that searching. You've had volunteers coming in and signing paperwork and doing grid patterns. And you don't document how many times a year that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, nope, sorry, it's going to cost some obscene amount of money for us to put that together. Like it is, I'm sorry, but with the bureaucracy and the red tape, that is fucking bullshit. Like that is the bulliest shit of bulliest shit. Okay, we got a stud bull over here and it's shitting. Right? It's insane.
It's so true.
And they're just like, nope, we don't have it unless you pay us $700,000 or just like, like Dr. Eva, $1 million. Like that's like it's so stupid. So anyways, there's no record of any of this, but somehow the fucking FBI and the Green Beret are involved. So
yes. So when the Green Berets were searching, they said they found 2 footprints by the river. So like there was a river close to the area, it wasn't too far away. they found 2 footprints. There was some footprints leading up to him, but in the river, it was especially weird because they found one footprint that was shoeless, and then the other one had a shoe on. The shoe like footprint matched the shoe style of Dennis. So, but when Dennis's father looked at the shoe prints to match them up, he said that the footprint was too big to be his son's footprint. So like it matched the same was it tread on the bottom of his shoe, but the shoe print was too big. When they found this, the Green Berets moved to the other side of the river and started searching. But there's no logs of anything that they did in those 3 days. And they wouldn't allow people to search on that side of the river. They said, don't worry over here. We're just going to go search. There's nothing to look for.
Fucking hell, dude.
What?
They're just like 8 black helicopters come in and they like lift a box out and they're like, yeah, we don't know what's happening over there. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
nothing
just
to
acting
see
sus
here.
as fuck.
Yeah. So there is
This
a cool
sus sub right here.
Yeah, it's true. There is a cool, interesting part. A guy named Tony Stark, a real man named Tony Stark, donated
Oh my
2
God,
helicopters. Iron Man donated 2 helicopters for the search and rescue. I thought that was a cool little nugget.
Of course he did.
Yep.
Why? Who is
He's in
this
our
guy?
hearts. I don't know. You might have to look him up. He was probably like a millionaire at the time. Thank you, Tony Stark.
Thank you, Robert Downey Jr.
Stark.
But they never, besides these 2 footprints, they never found a single thing. They never found another piece of clothing. They never found anything leading to this kid. They never found a body. So in 2014, to end this story on a sad note.
What?
Yeah. Bill died not knowing what happened to his son.
That is so fucked up.
That's rough, dude.
Oh my God. So this whole time, being all sus, they didn't find anything. There's no answers. And 2014 comes and then he just dies not knowing.
Yep.
That is
And, like,
torture.
And like as a fucking like not as a literal parent, I'm not a parent, but like I can just imagine like if you were a parent, like as a parent, you would feel, at least I think I would, like so like relieved that like there's this like increasing degree of government like agencies and like, you know, like shit like that coming in. Like you'd be like, oh, thank God the Green Berets are here. The notorious super famous Green Berets are coming in. We're gonna find my son like so fucking fast. Like, holy shit, the fucking FBI's here. Like, oh my God, my tax dollars are working. You know, like you'd be like, yes, like thank you, the fucking big guns are here because they should be, because it's my kid, you know. And then it just like, oh, we can't talk about that. Oh, we can't this. Oh, we can't. And you're like, wait, why are you here again? Like at a point, it's like, if you can't reveal this information, like, why the fuck are you here? Like, I'm literally their parent. Like, literally their goddamn parent.
You hit the nail on the head, because after some of those times when they were saying we can't release that information, he started hating and distrusting all the local officials, the park rangers, the FBI, because no one would ever give him any straight answers, whether they knew it or not, whether they were hiding something, whether somebody knew something that was, you know, for his son, because a kid just won't up and leave and won't just disappear with almost literally no evidence of what they're happening. There would be, if they were eaten by animals, there would be a struggle. You would see that it happened. You'd see blood. You'd see trail marks. You'd see clothes. You'd see something of those. If they were abducted by somebody, they would probably eventually have been found. Like nowadays, that this is such a famous case that they released a, I think it was like 7 years ago, they released it was like 15 years ago, like a aged picture of the kid, just to see if somebody knew him, kind of like they did with the case of that lady that was found in Asheville. They did the same, and nothing has come of it. And so they just think that the kid disappeared. Nobody really ever knows what's happened. It's one of the most famous cases. And Missing 411 did it, I think, an episode on this, or did a piece of this.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
So also I'm
50s.
thinking because of everyone that got involved, maybe a case of like child trafficking that they knew was on the area.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's what I
Yeah.
was kind of thinking.
Yeah, because and
Yeah.
then like the all those people cover it because everyone's like involved within that. I mean,
Mhm.
like even now, well, last year, how they're even slowly trying to expose like all the government people, the rich people that are
Mhm.
involved in human and children like trafficking. So maybe especially back in that time, it was very like open within them and just like all the shadiness that was going on.
I mean, that sounds true, but I do want to believe that the last good government officials are park rangers. I want to believe that a lot of the government officials are park rangers, that they're just good people, that they're just there to help, that they're there to guide you.
Yeah, we met some of our couples have
Yeah,
been,
they're all really
remember?
nice. Yeah, they're all chill and nice.
I'm still gonna stand behind the post office. Sorry, y'all.
True. The post office people, calves for days. Calves for
Like,
days.
calves for fucking days. We wouldn't have leg models anymore if it wasn't for the post office.
That's true.
Yeah,
Ain't
I
nobody
mean,
else in society walking that far. Are you kidding me? Hell no.
No.
that's why they make them wear those little short shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. They claim it's for aerodynamics, but we all know why.
Yeah.
It's our tax dollars at work.
That's true. So, getting into the strange disappearances, there was a lot of disappearances, and we're only going to go into that one because really a lot of them there. And that was one of the most high profile ones. So,
My heart.
yeah. And,
Mhm.
happy Father's Day and all that with poor Bill Martin, poor guy.
Also, real quick, and this is late in the show. Today, the day that we're recording this, June 17th, is Art Bell's birthday. So,
Happy birthday, Art Bell.
happy birthday, Art Bell. Thank you for being the grandfather of all paranormal audio, radio coverage. Everything that we have descending today is in terms of like different paranormal podcasts and radio shows and stuff like that. We got to give credit to the grandfather. If there was a Mount Rushmore for paranormal commentators, Art Bell would be right there on the front. All right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
happy birthday, Art Bell, from beyond the grave. Hope that it reaches you, buddy.
Happy birthday.
To
Mhm.
you. So apparently in this area, there have been 84 planes that have gone missing over or
Jesus
in the Great
Christ.
Smoky National Park since its inception of record keeping, which is in the 1950s. Or
Jesus fucking
Oh my
Christ.
God.
1940s, sorry. Yeah. So this is a lot of planes in one
How many?
small area. 84.
Holy fucking
is a
shit.
lot
That's
of
like
And
in
when you
80
say go
years.
missing, yo,
Crash.
fuck the Bermuda Triangle. I don't even think it's got those numbers. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah,
So
that's
either
like 80 years from now, isn't it? Or like 80, yeah, that was 80 years ago. So it's been like one plane a year.
when they've started keeping track, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so a little
50s.
over.
Eh,
So
That's
yeah,
almost the length of flight.
yep,
Like,
pretty much. Yeah.
like that's about what, 30 years, 40 years since
Before
planes
flight,
were
yeah.
fucking invented. Like
Yep.
that is, I think oh shit, it might be like 1912, 1919, some shit like that. When we first were like, we got a plane made out of balsa wood, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Yep.
Like that's not. Planes had only been around for 20, 30 years, I believe, at that point, where they started keeping records. And now it's like, one a year, motherfuckers. Must
Pretty
feed the
much.
mountain.
Yeah.
Mountain.
So this one,
What the fuck?
this record is the first one that I saw record. So it was a military plane. So we'll go into a few military planes that crashed too. So in 1946, the only reason that there's a record of this is because it's a military plane before the 50s started. A B-29 Super Fortress piloted by the U.S. Army crashed in the Smokies. So a B-29 Super Fortress is what it sounds like. It's a freaking huge plane. And these things don't really go down that easy, especially when they're not getting fired at. So
literally has fortress in the goddamn name.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So it was on its way from MacDill base to Chicago, and it crashed in the morning sometime around 2 a.m. on June 12th.
Okay.
There is a lot of things that happened in June in here, so which is around the same day to the year that Dennis went missing. The weather was, scattered thunderstorms and rains, but not too bad of storms. So
The usual.
yeah, the plane lost altitude and started skimming the treetop somewhere near Klingman's Dome. So Klingman's Dome, also
Ooh.
a name, is like sometimes called the UFO of the Smokies, which is kind of cool.
I've got a story lined up for Klingman's Dome, and it is it's not too long ago, but yeah.
Yep. So when it hit the ground, both wings were ripped off by the trees, and it skidded to a stop. As it skidded to a stop, it just burst into the flames. So if the people didn't die on impact, they pretty much burned to death.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's dramatic.
Yeah, so
That's way too intense.
Scene out of a
He's
movie.
like,
It seems like.
my arms are gone, and then he's like, I'm sliding.
Yeah.
Well, just one more thing left to do.
Yep.
Burn.
So when they got there, they basically the fire when the military had got there to kind of control it, figure it out. The plane was still on fire, so they got there pretty quickly after it had crashed. So this wasn't the only military plane to go down. On January 4th, 1984, an RF-4C Phantom II, which is a really, really fast plane, it slammed nose first into the mountain.
Jesus.
It was said that the crew was taking aerial photos, but it was never said what they were taking photos of.
Okay.
I just picture on the back of the plane it has one of those yellow stickers that says student driver on. So sorry. I'm so sorry,
so
but
sad.
I just pictured.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
That reminds me
Oh,
of that
God, I'm going to
story.
hell.
This poor
Look, if that's what sends me to hell, I'm surprised.
Hmm?
I was driving and my mom taking out her phone and taking pictures and stuff. I'm just imagining that the aerial people were like, wow, this is so pretty. Here, take a picture of me next to the mountains. You know, and then they just crashed right into the mountains.
Hold on, I can get closer. Okay,
My
no, but
God.
this is very tragic.
It is
If
very
you
tragic.
haven't learned, we're on episode 51 at this point. If you haven't learned that we have a gallows sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
well, just go back to working out or driving in your car, or cooking dinner, whatever you normally do. Just tune that part out and just go on and eat your mac and cheese.
No, just go back to episode 1 and re-listen to find out our history, our sense of humor. That's the easiest way.
This.
Yep. So,
all right, so the student driver crashed into the mountain.
Yes, the wreckage was strewn across 20 acres near Snake Den Ridge, which is another trail area, another famous trail area. The plane hit the ground going 450 miles per hour.
Wow.
Okay, in all fairness, though, it was 2 a.m., so that basically looked like the sky to them. Because, we've all been out in these parks at night like that. When you want to talk about pitch fucking black, right now, I don't care what the fuck you're doing. Stop driving. Pull over on the side of the road. Go into the nearest house. Break the door in if it's locked. Go into their closet. Kick all their shoes and shit out of the way. Close the door and then close your eyes. That's what it looks like. And then now you're going to need to apologize and you're going to need to make those people dinner. Whoever the fuck was in that house. They're probably shocked, okay? They probably were just looking up information on their 401k this evening. They realized that stock in Anderson's went down. It's been a hard day. And now your crazy ass, has just broken into their closet and literally done nothing besides mildly inconvenience them. I think they would enjoy some Kraft mac and cheese, which this episode is brought to you by.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding.
Bill.
Joey, let's go.
Just make sure you're not in a stand your ground state if you do that, actually, because
So you've
you'll
got
be killed
3
first.
states.
Yeah.
You've got 3 states where this is an option.
Yeah. Please don't do that anyways, but we don't want our listeners murdered, so that's not even the only thing weird. So there's so many civilian plane crashes too as well.
Shit.
So we're only going to go into a few of them. We're not going to go through all of them because 84 is a lot to go through. A lot of them really don't have any details because they literally were just this radio, I went to the what is it called? Looked up the flight records and the flight everything from the towers coming down, and some of them were just like Cessna 474 called in that they were at this position, and then nothing. and then found crashed. So it was like that's kind of how flying is a lot of times back in the 80s, is like they didn't have continuous pings. They didn't have anything like especially for like small civilian planes. Yeah, well, they did have that, but small civilian planes didn't have a lot of that. Still don't. So on November 24th, 1983, a 414 Cessna flying from West Chicago to Jackson County Airport in the Smokies crashed at about 6,000 feet around 6:30 p.m. So it was blamed on bad weather, poor visibility, and a drunk pilot. So
Oh my God.
Okay, I believe all three of those.
I just want to say this. It makes me laugh because I do want to ask, for the most part, is there a pilot that mostly isn't drunk in the 80s?
That's true.
That's true. There's actually a movie about it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sadly, both in the military plane crash, like the other ones, both occupants were killed. Yeah. So reports
I would say like being a drunk pilot sounds kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I know that's not safe. I know it's not cool, but like swerving and he's like, woo, woo, like this doesn't matter. Like, you know, but then there's like a mountain.
Yeah.
So
there
which
is
one's
there's
the plane
mountains.
that we have here? Apparently, I mean, not super close by, but the one that's super famous here in Nashville.
Oh, it's not in Nashville. It's in the Smokies. I'll get to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So reports say that if they had just been about 150 feet higher than they were, they would have cleared the mountain and treetops and been just fine.
Oh shit, dude.
This is the plane that if you're hiking the Water Rock Knob Trail, you can see the plane crash because they never removed it. This is the one.
Whoa.
Yep. So there's famous photographer pictures that are of this plane crash just in the middle of the woods. It's this plane. So there was one weird thing about this, though. So looking at the flight log on the aviation safety networks, which I was looking at for some of these plane crashes, the plane, when it went up, it kept at a relatively high altitude for most of the flight. So basically, they ascended, and then they stayed there for a while. As they got over the Smoky National Park, they started doing ascents and descents randomly. So they were going up maybe 1,000 feet, going down 1,000 feet, going up. It's just really weird because it's not a normal flight behavior for somebody driving or even doing, showing people something in the Smoky Mountains. And there was only 2 people in there. So I don't think it was a drunk guy just going, hey, what's this? Come on. You said I couldn't do it and not throw up, but I did it.
I thought we were going to Denny's.
Yeah. So,
well, I was just going to say, I just looked this up. Please look up the photos of this. This is not at all what I expected. I expected, like, just like the fuselage and shit like that of the plane, like, smash into a mountain. This is like laying in a spot. I'm literally like, it's in the top 10 photos. It's like just like on a hill. People are literally in these photos like walking up to it. It looks like every like castaway fucking situation that you've ever seen in your life in a movie, where it's just like the body of the plane is sitting there. It's overgrown with weeds and vines and shit like that. Like it's just like on the ground. Like people are literally getting selfies in front of it because welcome to the 2000s. But like people are just straight up walking up to it.
Yeah.
I just Googled like Water Rock Knob Trail plane crash. That's it's like it's just right there on the ground.
Yep, it's pretty out there.
Oh shit, it says Blue Ridge Parkway, so come to Asheville, North Carolina, and then travel to the Water Rock Knob Trail plane crash.
We should all go and check it out.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I'm totally down.
Looking at it, I feel like there had to be something else. Maybe something to control their craft. Maybe they hit a blip or something like that. Honestly, there's so many more crashes in such a small area. On August 1956, an Aeronca Trainer stalled out and crashed near Klingman's Dome. Luckily, though, both occupants survived, so this was a good one. On March 1964, a twin-engine Beechcraft crashed near Parsons Bald, killing 6 people on board. On February 16th, a 1984 single-engine Cherokee 6 plane crashed into Mount Buckley. Again, the occupants were lucky, and 7 people walk away from the crash uninjured. So crazy that they walked. They must not have been super high, or maybe the trees stopped the descent. I don't know how that happened. On December 1st, 1997, a Cessna 182 went down and killed the only person in the aircraft. Even just 2 years ago, a Cessna 441 crashed in the Smokies, and both people on board were killed. This can't, however, hold a candle to the United Airlines crash in 1964.
Whoa.
On July 9th, a 4-engine Viscount, flight number 823, going from Philadelphia on its way to Knoxville, Tennessee, it exploded in the air and then crashed into the Smokies. All 39 people on board were killed.
Wow, that's sad.
They could only find 32 of them. They never found the other 7. 39 people on board were all killed, but they couldn't find the 7 other people. They only found 32 bodies.
Holy shit, dude.
So it's like some people just like probably flew away.
Yeah, so the wreckage was
like-
only thrown across a half-mile area, so it's not a huge area, but
They could have just been like obliterated by the explosion.
Yeah.
True.
Or abducted by aliens.
That seems obliterated by the explosion. Like, okay, somebody that's better at math than me, how many bodies does that mean were completely, totally like obliterated
Yep.
by an explosion? Like, there's not even a hand.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a foot. And like most notorious, I would say, like of all is like teeth.
Yeah.
Right. So like when there's terrible like house fires and apartment fires and stuff like infrastructure, like structure fires, like dental records are so important because it's so hard to get up to the temperatures that like need to be sustained long enough to actually like burn to ash your teeth, which are supposed to last you your goddamn life, you know, like they're hard as fuck.
Yep.
Right. Like to actually burn that long that they can't be identified through like dental record, that is insane. I'm sorry, but like that many people where it's just like they're not even finding jawbones.
Yeah,
Like, that is nuts.
It's crazy. So that's a weird thing that I thought happened. That's the last plane crash we're gonna go through out of the 84. Way too many to look into.
So I want to add, just going back to what Gil was saying, that he was looking at the photos of the airplane and how people are just you can just walk on it and whatever. And so I went and saw pictures too. And I think this is really important to say to people that are listening, that whenever you go to visit places like this, where there was like an accident, people die, like sometimes they leave things there or there's remainings there, but that doesn't mean that you should have a photo shoot on it. Like, people died there, it's not something to go look and be like, oh my god, so cool, let's take selfies and let's do a whole photo shoot. Like, let's have some respect, because people's lives were done there, and they were like parents, they were daughters, they were sons, their families. So just to add that, if you go visit places like that.
Yeah. I straight up like couldn't agree more. Like when and that's the whole like gallows humor, which I love that term when I came across it a while back. But it's just like I laugh or will kind of like make jokes about it, but it's like that, and I don't feel like folks are rare in this way, but like that is how, at least for like us, and especially for me, I can only speak for me on this, but like I'll like process some very heavy traumatic shit is like making a joke about it in order to kind of like help like cut it down a notch so I can like like actually like breathe and like take it in. It's not actually disrespect. It's just like, I mean, I can't define disrespect for other folks, but for me, I don't mean it in the sense of disrespect. It's just like shit's really heavy, shit's really tragic, but the entirety of human history is made of tragedy, right? And like I really do believe in like respecting the absurd. Like just like how fucking ridiculous is it that we have like one of the most cutting edge like, you know, planes or like aircraft that are flying through at fucking like hundreds and hundreds of miles an hour, and then just like boop, like hits a mountain. Like no combat, nothing crazy going on, just whoosh, like, and like it's hard for me to comprehend that. But hey, I don't know. But yes, I couldn't agree more. Like be like, you know, like going and taking selfie. Like you wouldn't like. Well, actually, there's a famous meme about that. You shouldn't go to somebody's grave and like throw up the deuces and like get a selfie in front of it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like go check out the places,
Yeah.
learn some history, learn from it. Just don't do a photo shoot and blog about it and like use it for
100%.
entertainment.
So, going on plane crashes and missing people, they're not the only things that happen in the Smokies, but there are many, many hauntings in this area as well. So, we're going to start with the Rocky Top Village Inn murders and haunting. The Rocky Top Village Inn Motel in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, is famous for being where Felice and Boudreaux Bryant wrote the song Rocky Top. So I know pretty much everybody's heard this song. If you go to a wedding or if you're from the South, you've heard Rocky Top. If you haven't heard the bluegrass song, it goes like this: Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. So this isn't
No,
all
but I
it's known
think
for, though.
Carolyn and Jake
Yeah.
have heard of it though. Sounds like their kind of music.
Well, it's anybody that went to Tennessee. So this isn't all it's known for, though. It is also known for a horribly brutal double murder.
Wow, of course.
Yeah. So the opposite ends of the spectrum happen, of course. On September 13th, 1986, 2 employees of the hotel were brutally stabbed and shot to death.
Damn.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Security guard Troy Valentine and night clerk Melissa Hill, their bodies were stashed in room 1 after they were murdered, which is very interesting. By the way, you won't find the rooms because it's actually closed down now, but it is a good place to go for paranormal hunting. For the most part, it seems like it was a basic motive of robbery, but the 4 perpetrators, there's 4 of them, only stole $413.
Damn.
So a local maniac, in quotations maniac, named Tattoo Eddie, and 3 other people were arrested for their crimes.
I'm sorry.
Before we go into this, I want to ask what kind of tattoos this guy had to get the name Tattoo Eddie.
I can only picture Ed and Eddie, and their life of crime after filming their little cartoon show. Tattoo Eddie.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea where he got this name. So maybe in 1986,
Tattoo Eddie.
He had one tattoo in Tennessee, and they were just like, "This dude's the tattoo dude." I don't know. So he actually, when he went to jail, they did an IQ test on Tattoo Eddie, and they found out that he had an IQ of 70.
Okay, wow, that is way below what is considered average, which is around 100.
Yeah.
So like, Tattoo Eddie is an evil tattooed Forrest Gump. Basically, I would say like that. I think that explains it in pop culture sense is the best. Maybe Joey, maybe you got some gems you drop in here.
No,
it
was just very sad because he probably didn't know better. I'm not dropping any gems today, just sadness.
All right, Joey. So we got an evil Forrest Gump on the loose. Now what?
So this prevented him from being put to death because in Tennessee, obviously, and a lot of other states, if your IQ is under a certain amount, they don't put you to death because I think that the way that they describe it is that you don't know any better and you kind of might have a brain impairment that stops you from that part of your brain working to say murder is not correct or the crime you committed
Jenny
is not.
said that they were like fish
Okay.
and that they needed extra gills added to the body.
Hey,
But
he
like,
wasn't
how
a
do
smart
they
man, but
do
he knew what
this?
love is. What?
How do they do this? Like, do they give them a quiz
IQ
or how?
tests.
Okay, but what if they're faking it and act
I think those
stupid?
quizzes are
Could be.
filtered for
I'm
that
sure
kind of
that.
shit.
I mean, that could
Like,
be a thing too that says, maybe they want to go to a different place, or maybe they just don't want to be killed. I don't know. But I feel like if you're a murderer, most murderers don't want to be called dumb. Most murderers want to have that like psychological thing to be like, I want to be I'm a genius. I'm
Yeah.
smarter than everybody else. They have that
yeah,
what
but
is it called?
also you can be smart enough to know that you should fake the test so you don't go to jail for that. Like if it was me, I would totally fake it and write the
That's
wrong
Bay's tips for the
answers
week.
because
If you're a murderer out there, fake the test. I don't know if
Follow
it's
us
still a
and
rule anymore. It
follow
was
us
a
and
rule at that time.
subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast for more tips to help you with your upcoming crime. Don't tell the pigs.
Yes. Don't tell anybody.
I just
So-
think it's so dumb that
Yeah, I know,
that's like
but
a thing.
I think it's I don't know. I think it's a good rule in some ways, but obviously any law that's put into place is going to have red tape. It's going to have people that figure out ways to take advantage of it. That's just
I want to
how it all
continue
goes.
derailing to the point that we're falling off the canyon real quick. I do, and this is something I need to look into. Who is in charge of running the IQ tests, and
Thank you.
who, like, how do I put this? If your IQ was, Einstein level, 120, 130, 140, whatever it is, right? I know it's like up in the 20s, 30s, 40s, somewhere around there, right? And you were in charge of making the IQ test. That makes sense because it's like you're way the fuck up on the Mount Everest of brain matter. And you're like being like, well, did they walk up that trail? No, they're an idiot. Like you're like way up on top. But if your IQ is at like 101 and you're like literally 1 point above average, are you like, well, that would be really smart to think of? I'm going to put that down on the paper real quick. Oh, shit. That'd be witty as fuck. I'm going to put that down. Like, who is making this? That's what I do want to understand. But, sorry.
Yeah.
Are you saying that people that make really good puns are average?
No,
intellect?
I'm saying that they define intellectual qualifications. Okay.
That's how
Which
it
is
always
why-
is with everything. Like the people from the Olympics, like the
Mhm.
judges, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
like you're not an athlete, but you're judging the
Bitch.
athletes, the people that go on like all these things, like judges are always like random
Mhm.
people like that are not within that, like they barely for Miss Universe, the people that were judging Miss Universe, like they're ugly as fuck. They're not even smart. But now they barely started to
We just
add.
lost 3
Like,
subscribers on Spotify. I watched the numbers go down. 3 of our subscribers were Miss Universe, like judgers, and I kind of wanted to hit them up someday. Thank you, Betsabe, for doing this.
I'm just
So-
saying, like, people that judge things
Yeah.
are not even the right people
Yeah.
to be judged.
Yeah.
Judges. Yeah.
So I'm gonna play conductor on this, and I'm gonna get our train
Damn,
right
he's
back
good.
on track. So the place that these 2 people were murdered was actually the satellite office and not attached to the hotel. So it's across the street from the hotel. And this was a little thing that, like, at night, it would make it easier for check-in, convenience, and
Mhm.
checking out. So you didn't have to go in the main hotel. It was just a little easier as you were
Yeah.
on your way out. So people who worked there before it closed and people who visited said that at night, screams and pleas for mercy can be heard echoing through the otherwise quiet part of the complex. It was also said that Melissa Hill escaped the killers, if not for but a brief moment, and ran outside to the courtyard where the
Mhm.
fountain was.
Wow.
Some people said that they see a woman's disembodied legs appearing
Ew.
from the
Ooh.
waist down,
That's fucked up.
running
Wait, the
around the
waist
fountain.
down?
Oh my gosh.
The
From the
How does that even
waist
work?
down.
Hold
It's
up,
just a
hold-
ghost. It's
I
an
need-
apparition. So from the waist
only
down.
part that's visible is the waist down. So the hips down are the only part that's
Mhm.
visible. So literally, it's just two legs running to the fountain. Is that right?
Pretty much. Yep, running
It's
around the
fucking
fountain.
weird.
Yep. Yeah, that's even creepier than seeing a full-bodied apparition coming to you.
Yeah.
That's just, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, I would be like, I'm done. Bye.
So
Mhm.
sadly, like I said earlier, the motel was closed down, but I do think that they are open for paranormal visitors. So if people wanted
This is
to
a
look
very
into it,
leg-oriented
they can.
episode, and while I don't fancy myself a leg man, I'm here for it. Like, I respect that. Like, I'm just saying, from male.
Yeah.
Wait, was she a male woman? Was she delivering mail inside of the postal codes of the United States? How nice were these legs? Okay, I'm just bringing it back. Bringing
I
it back,
love
like
it.
return to sender. All
Love
right,
it.
let's go. Where are we at?
Yep. So there is a lot of hauntings that happen. Fontana Lake is another one of the areas in this place. I did some research into it. There's so many Cherokee legends. There's so many regular, like just people who live there. The Europeans that came over here, Tennessee Valley Authority basically drowned out the homes in the areas around Fontana Lake. There's a whole bunch of ghost stories around there. And of just people leaving their homes, not wanting to leave their homes, because basically the Tennessee Valley Authority was like, hey, we're going to do this. We're the national government. You can't stop us. We'll give you some money for your house, but it's not going to be close to it. Just like they do with highways. We're going to give you some money for your house, but it's not close to market value. You should leave, or else we're just going to make your life a living hell, and we're just going to drown your house. So a lot of people were pissed about it. A lot of ghosts and hauntings happen from there. Again, there's a trillion of them.
What year was this, or decade?
Tennessee Valley Authority?
Did this
that
incident
happen probably in...
I want to know if this is "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" like territory.
I don't know the actual on the TVA.
Damn it. Our lead researcher, Joey. Come on now. I'm just kidding. It was...
Yeah, it was just a passing
"Oh
thing
Brother,
in the
Where
book,
Art Thou" type of situation, right? So there's like a cow that's floating, like
very much so,
like underwater, and there's a church.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was around
Robert
that time
Johnson.
though, because Tennessee Valley Authority, for some history, Tennessee Valley Authority was to which is kind of used backwards now. Tennessee Valley Authority was to make sure that all homes had electricity. So basically, electrical company would not want to go into those, like the hollers, the areas that have like maybe 3 to 4 homes where there's not many people around. And I know you're laughing, but I'm going to history lesson real quick. But they would, the government basically said that all houses have to be connected to the electrical grid, and that was the only way to make sure that electrical companies would power those houses. Now, when people want to get off the electrical grid, they can't, because the Tennessee Valley Authority law is used in reverse. Now people have to have it, so they can't just only have solar panels.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm coming in hot. All right, so so the episode about a theory, an origin theory around the flat Earth, where we had the Watchers, the Overkeepers, the Guardians, right? Who were like, wait a second, we know how to convince them that nothing's fucking going on, or not let them know about anything going on by just never letting them know that anything's going on. That's our secret. So the Tennessee Valley Authority, this will make sense in a moment. Just ride with me on this. Put your seatbelt on. So the Tennessee Valley Authority said, we only have enough potential electricity to give to half of the homes of Tennessee. What do? We destroy half of the homes in Tennessee. And now it looks like it's just policy. Now it looks like it's normal. We flood the hollers. We flood the fucking valleys. We get rid of these motherfuckers that are making it difficult for us to get electric to. And then we give everybody electric. God, Evil
Yeah.
genius brilliance right there. All right. TVA, you got
Genius.
this. Let's go.
Yep. Before we get into some Cherokee legends on this, I want to go into some more otherworldly stories. Not only is the Smokies home for crazy disappearances, plane crashes, and hauntings, Dr. Gill of DeVry University is here to go over the UFOs of the Smokies.
Our first one, because it's been here for a minute in terms of us going through this tonight. So we have Klingman's Dome, and this would have been circa 2001, February 12th, 2001. Very fast, bright, metallic, silver rectangle spotted. Was pursued by military-style jets. And this is all coming from Newfork, the, I forgot the acronym organization. The craft was a bright metallic silver rectangle with alternating dark panels along the side. It was viewed first at a distance of about 500 feet over some treetops, then in the sky as it was pursued by 3 military-style jets. The craft left no trail and made no sound that we could hear from our vantage point. It was quiet, fast, and noticeably faster than the jets. Now, this whole thing was 1 minute long. So basically what these folks, if you're not used to reading UFO databases, so if you go to MUFON or Newfork, right, you can read through databases of like events and locations and shape and type and all these different things. Basically what they just explained here was these folks that were near Klingman's Dome straight up saw 3 fighter jets chasing a goddamn UFO across the mountains for about 1 minute. That's fucking nuts, right?
That's awesome.
We basically saw an Independence Day of
Will
of
Smith
UFO
just
right
saying,
now.
"You take my wife's name out of your mouth," just like flying by. You only caught it half sentence. We didn't know at the time. We didn't know. April 3rd, 2008. Townsend, probably spelled that wrong, and Maryville. Probably said that wrong. There's like a Y that I don't expect in it somewhere. Duration was 20 minutes long. Characteristics: the object left a trail. The object landed. There were aircraft in the vicinity or aircraft chasing the object. Title of the piece: UFO shot down over Smoky Mountains. The body of the report. I didn't see the actual wreckage, but I was able to see and photograph what appears to be a UFO that was shot down. You can visibly see a trail of 2 fighter jets and then a third long trail heading straight for the ground with a trail of black smoke that didn't dissipate for 20 to 30 minutes. There was a fire at ground level.
Wow.
We witnessed this from a lookout point in the Smoky Mountains where you can overlook the whole city. Y'all, if you haven't seen this area, this is very common. There's so many spots you can pull off on the side of the road and just view a beautiful lookout. There were no news reports of crashed or shot down aircraft, and it had to be something small and not a commercial flight. I have video, in brackets, poor quality. Again, this was, 2008. And even better, photo evidence to show you, but again, not actual evidence of the wreckage. This was somebody going to Newfork at probably fucking like 2 in the goddamn morning. Actually, yeah, it was 2100 is when they reported it. So that would have been 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I believe, at night. 9 o'clock. So like at 9:47, they were reporting this not too long after it happened. And they were, you can go on Newfork and read this. They were submitting this and they were like, hey, do any of your researchers want to come out to my location or give me a call or email me? This is what I've seen. That's what all these reports are. Like, that's fucking nuts. All right, I'm sorry, but that's fucking insane.
Dude, yeah, a lot of this stuff, all the UFOs in the area, all the disappearances, all that is adding into what I think creates some of the legends of the Smokies and such the details that everything's going on. So there's so many Cherokee legends from this area, obviously, because a lot of the Cherokees settled this area and lived in there so long. So one haunting of the many in the Smokies is called the Legend of Ghost of Blowing Rock. So this is actually kind of a sweet story. There was a Cherokee brave and a Chickasaw woman fell in love, but they were forbade to marry due to the differing tribes. So,
Aw.
yeah.
Like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. And while they were both looking off the rock face, the brave decided to jump off because he was very sad and couldn't marry the woman he loved. So,
Aww.
as the story goes, he was picked back up by the wind and thrown back into his lover's arms.
Oh, God damn
Shut
it.
up.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah. So the apparition that you can see that's been said to have been seen there is the Cherokee brave jumping off and sweeping back up. So that is one of the cute little apparition legends that's happened from there. So
Beautiful.
right, I know, I found it very sweet. So I just wanted to add that in there with our, mysteries of darkness so far. So the next Cherokee legend is one that's basically made out of nightmares.
Hell yeah.
I would say it's Freddy Krueger on steroids.
Wow.
The creature, or rather, her creature name, and we call it Spearfinger.
What?
But her name in Cherokee, Spearfinger. So her name in Cherokee is, I'm sorry if I messed this up, it's Utlutnta, I think is how you say it. And I don't know. It basically loosely translates to "she had it sharp."
Oh.
Which is kind of a crazy name. So the name is because of her forefinger on her right hand is basically very sharp and it resembles a spear. Spearfinger. She was made of stone and her only weakness was her heart was in her right hand. So she always kept it clutched at all times. This was a very...
That's some shit.
It's a very interesting legend for the Cherokee. As she walked, it would sound like rolling thunder because she was, her body was encased in the stone. So it would just be rubbing against her and against the ground.
That's intense.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So sick,
So
dude.
she would hunt Cherokee children. Cherokee children, and she was a master at disguising herself.
I'm a tree.
So
I'm a dandelion.
she killed...
I'm a bush.
Yep.
I'm a tree again.
She would only hide as the relatives of the family members that
I'm a
she
relative as a
killed.
tree. I'm a bush. I'm a stick. But also a relative. All right.
So if she killed your brother or your friend, she could mimic their family and then lure more children away. So if
this
she,
is a skinwalker in a ghillie suit. Like, this is literally a skinwalker in a ghillie suit. That's my vibe right now.
The only thing she couldn't hide was her spear finger. So she would just basically be the same person, but with the spear finger. And so she would hide the finger in her cloak. So you wouldn't see it. You'd just be like, oh, she's just got her hand close to her chest.
Okay, so this is very fascinating, and this comes across in a lot of different cultures from all over the fucking planet. And I'm talking about, when I'm saying a lot of different cultures, I'm talking about find some deep, deep, deep shit where it's like, go to another country, go to another continent, another region of the world, dig back about 1,000 years or more, and read what they say. Right, whoever they are that wrote that text, doesn't matter if it's India, if it's North Africa, and right there, like essentially quote unquote like Arabian lands, right, or like go down into Africa and like read into that, go into South America. It doesn't matter where you go. There is this phenomenon which I find absolutely fucking fascinating, where they can mimic whatever the nefarious spirit is or the apparition. They can mimic everything to the fucking T. You will be 100% convinced, but if you look at one part of the body, there's a dead giveaway every fucking time. So like my immediate thought when you said that was the jinn. right? So like when you go into Islam, jinn 100% fucking real. Like in Islam, just as much as with Christians, angels are fucking real, right? Demons are the devil is fucking real. In Christianity, the jinn, who were created before human beings by Allah, like came down to the planet, and they have such a fucking fascinating and like frankly we've been cut off from the world of like the mythology, the folklore, the beliefs, and it really should be understood as beliefs. I wouldn't want to bastardize it as calling it folklore, right? Because it is 100% real to a large portion of the population on this planet. So like the jinn, one way to recognize the jinn, sorry to slowly get back to this, is their feet will be backwards. That is like across the board in like jinn mythology, is like literally everything. It could be a beautiful woman trying to seduce you and trying to yada yada yada, like all these fucking things, but you look down and straight up their feet are backwards on their legs. Like that's what that shit reminds me of when you just said it is like everything but the Spearfinger on the fucking, just like coming across it, like But like I fucking can't get over the fact that
is so horrifying.
it's the time period that fucks with me, is that
Like,
in the same time period, this was commonplace and understood all across the planet, regardless of communication. Everybody identified one fucking thing in this quote unquote like supernatural type of experience, where it's like, look for this one thing, it'll protect you. Like, look for this one fucking thing that's going to be reversed or backwards or will stand out. It will protect you. Like, that's all. That's all I gotta say. Sorry, Joey. I had to go on that rant. It fucking blew my mind.
It's okay. So
It blew my mind.
that is horrifying, Selena. It is completely horrifying.
I just like imagine like, because I watch so many horror movies, like that moment when you realize that something is wrong and you're looking down at their feet and you can just feel that they're still looking at you, and now they know that you know.
And with like,
and
like
it's too
at
late.
that point I would be like, this information is not helping me. If I never noticed this, like I probably still would die, but I would be less terrified.
Speaking of that, she would hide her Spearfinger in her cloak, right? So as she walked closer and you began to trust her, thinking that she was a member of your family, she'd get just close enough, and by the time you realized, she would pull out her Spearfinger and stab you through the heart or the neck, which is very interesting. But she only took your liver.
Okay, so she sold this on the
there
black
would be
market, then.
Yes, there would be no
Basically, yes.
pain or any
That's not
visible
bad.
scar. But you would die in between 1 to 3 days later, obviously due to not having a liver.
That'll do it. Most times,
Yeah. So in the Cherokee legend, she was eventually shot in the heart by
Thank
Cherokee
God.
warriors.
Yeah.
And so too ended Spearfinger, or Untlunta,
Nailed it.
I think is actually how you say it. Yep. So yeah, that honestly, that haunts my dreams more than some of the other episodes we've done. Just to seeing that come in the woods, just this big rock-like thing with as your family coming through, just being like, oh, hi. So there are some truly strange things about the Smokies. So there's even a rock that is older than when the Cherokee Indians settled the area. It's a large soapstone boulder, and they call it Judicula Rock. Judicula Rock, I think. Yeah. It is actually not too far from us in Silva, North Carolina. What's weird about this boulder is it's covered with weird marks and pictures that are believed to be thousands of years old. The reason for the name is because the Cherokee have a legend that the markings were done by a slant-eyed giant who had 7 fingers on each hand. The giant's name was Judicula, and he could leap from one mountain to the other and create different weather phenomena as he pleased. Some people also believe that this rock is used for cult-like initiations or gatherings or something like that, but obviously people make this kind of thing up all the time. I just think it's interesting that it honestly predates the Cherokee living here and predates most people thinking of who was living here in the area with different markings and paintings. It's pretty cool.
Fucking
That's
dope,
wild.
dude.
Yeah.
I still the
Yeah.
Another no.
Go
Please
ahead.
go on. Please go on.
Another Cherokee legend around the area, and this is kind of interesting because it just reminds me of Gerald Tolkien. So another Cherokee legend is called the Yunwi Sundi. Sorry if I'm murdering the Cherokee language, but which roughly translates to little people. I would say maybe hobbits. But as we'll see, they do a bit more than just eat tasty food, smoke pipes, and hide in hobbit holes, and generally try to avoid any and all adventures, save for a select few. These little people are described as being from the ethereal plane, which is a very interesting concept that the Cherokee also have as well, that there's an ethereal plane. They're considered a small, and they are human-like race of people about 2 to 4 feet high. Some legends from the Cherokee, there's much different small legends about how they came, had that they came down in small flying silver discs. Aliens, anyone?
Tesla
Oh,
drivers,
yes.
anyone?
Yeah. We do know Teslas can go back in time.
They're the little guys from the Mojave Desert.
Shit.
They could be. It could all be connected.
It is all connected.
It is. Yep. They're particularly helpful at finding lost clothes or any kind of articles or things that, maybe you've lost.
That's
And you
nice.
can basically bribe them with food and drink.
I mean, that
Sounds like
yeah,
my
that
kind
is
of
literally
people.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of loosely connects to the folktales of leprechauns as well, because that's a kind of similar idea of the folktales. So you kind of see how a lot of these folklores, even around places that aren't connected, still have very similar, maybe different origins, but very similar characters, very similar backgrounds happening to them. So it is kind of interesting just to see the different legends, like you said, with the
Jinn.
with
with this
the gin. Yeah, they all have similar.
Yeah, dude, I'm so glad that you stumbled across this in your own like independent research, like coming up with this episode, looking into this. It's like now we can look at these commonalities across cultures, across languages, right?
Mhm.
Across like borders, and we can say that it's internet inspired. Right, we can look at like a 1 to 2 month gap and be like, well, it got translated from English to Spanish, or vice versa. Doesn't matter. But what is fucking fascinating to me, and I have a few theories on this. We might dig into it at some point in the show, in one of our episodes. But what is fascinating to me, and this carries on with like the theories around why did people start developing pyramids at the same time, right? Not just because it's like a
Yeah.
convenient form of structure, but like, is there a trail of evolutionary intellectual growth that you can track independently across history, across isolated tribes and georegions and all this shit like that, like into these different concepts? And does it transfer into folklore and mythology? Or are they explaining a type of paranormal phenomenon that is also evolving next to them? Because like we speak of paranormal in the sense of like everything being static. It was the same UFOs 3,000 years ago talking to the Egyptians and the Mayans and the folks that were in like the Central Valley region in like Ohio and da 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 da, like on down the line. It's always the same. It's always the same. But is there a chance, especially if we're looking at different dimensions, different planes, well, they would be subject theoretically to the same distance and time, whatever that would be. They would also be subject to evolution. So was whatever demonic beings or nefarious or jokester type of like entities that were like existing out in the woods everywhere across the planet, a few thousand years ago, did they all have one finger that revealed them? Did they all have backwards feet? Did they all have backwards hands? Did they all have was this a common trait at the time? Because like what we were looking at when we look back as I guess in a sense of like modern day like folklorists, or at least like dipping into it, is we're looking at origin stories and folklore that 100% were not contaminated with each other. Like the Cherokee were not being influenced by like Islam at the time that these stories were recorded. They were not at all being influenced, but there's this hard connection between the two that as human beings, they were trying to witness and explain. And like this shit happens regardless of continent, regardless of I don't know. This shit, y'all, I'm about to take my pants off for this. This shit gets me so fucking excited. Like, it's so fucking fascinating, right? When it's just this massive connection across consciousness, nothing that's like, quote unquote, like spurring it on that we understand today, but we're still questioning. Oh, God, my fucking, my paranormal boner is so hard right now. Goddamn. I had to say it.
So before he does that, I want to say, all of these disappearances, hauntings, mysteries, legends, and crashes has me thinking, just like you talked about, that this just isn't an area where people go to hike and enjoy nature. I think it's a true flap of the mysterious, like we talk about. It can't be a coincidence that all these things happen and appear around the same time, same area. Maybe it could be a place where, like they say with the Alaskan Triangle or the Bermuda Triangle, the veil between realities or worlds is slight. It's very light. So maybe things can cross over, like Bigfoot, which we haven't even got into the stories of Bigfoot in the Smokies, or maybe UFOs, maybe people from other worlds or realities. Maybe we aren't living here on our own, and the cave systems beneath the Smokies, which we all know about and heard about the cave systems beneath a lot of the national parks, beneath the mountains and everywhere, smoky things that aren't known or even meant to be known by man. This episode hasn't even scratched the surface on all the known disappearances in the Smokies. It hasn't scratched the surface on all the hauntings in the area. Heck, the legends of Cherokee are scribed out in many, many books that, you know, we tried to describe them in a short form way. It's very hard to do. But if you need to really look into these things, because the folklore, the Cherokee legends and, you know, what they pass down is amazing. It's really awesome to read about and learn about. I want to say that if you want to find more, please check out the National Parks, Mysteries, and Disappearances, Volume 1, The Great Smoky Mountain National Park, which provided us with the basis for all the research today that I went and, you know, cross-referenced with online researches. It's a great introduction to all we've talked about here and more. So it's a great way to start the conversation on why everything's happened in this small area. Could it be that we're just paranoid and make up legends and dream up things that we think could happen? Or we may be close to the real truth, that our world and the national parks in it are a portal to some higher or even lower realm. Maybe we'll see when we walk through together.
We'll see you on the other side.
Yay.
Thank you for listening to the Black Cat Report and our episode on the Smoky Mountain National Park Mysteries and Disappearances. Man, has the time flown by, so we've almost come to 1 year of our podcast. We have a special episode to mark our last episode of the year, episode 52, and then we'll have a special announcement to start a year 2 or a second season of the podcast. Remember to like, review, and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next week.